Hello, I am hailing from the city of Richmond, Virginia. Just got home from playing CluedUpp. We met at the City of Richmond Library of Virginia. There were 27 teams playing this game today when we started at 1 o'clock. So when we got to the library, it was, a cluster of people there. We had done a little pre-gaming, picked our name, took our picture, which is required for the Facebook app after the game is over, so you know if you want any prizes and that sort of thing. So we felt a little anxious in the beginning, trying to figure out how to get the app working. We did fumble a little bit with that. It's not as intuitive as you would think it is when you first start, even after having read the instructions. There's a lot of information to try to process in, and I think we were feeling the pressure of starting at 1 o'clock, realizing the game is completely and totally over at 5 o'clock, whether you are done or not. So, and then in the back of our minds, having read and heard videos where people said it took them about an average of 3 hours to finish the game. So we were anxious to get started. But we did our best to read through the instructions and try to follow what we were told to do to get started. And even with that, we were kind of pressing this and pressing that, hoping we weren't doing anything to get a penalty. Fortunately, you get a notification. They will tell you if you press the wrong thing at any given time throughout the game, they will tell you you will get a penalty if you proceed, and they kind of give you a chance to back out of it, which is great because we had to do that a couple of times because you'll press on a witness, and if you're not in the general area or close enough to the designated spot where that witness is to give the statement, you will get a penalty if you advance. And we did not want that because what's the penalty? Extra time, and who needs that? One of the most important objectives, other than figuring out who committed the murder, is doing it as quickly as possible. That is a huge incentive, and the more time penalties you get, the longer, obviously, you're in the game. For example, when we finished in an hour and 31 minutes, we were sure what the weapon was, but we had different opinions on who we thought the suspect was. There were two people that were sticking out in our minds, but one of the women in our group was adamant that it was a particular suspect. And so, because she was just so sure about it, we all agreed to give it a shot. As soon as we put the suspect in and the weapon, and we started proceeding down that road to take that guess at an hour and a half into the game, a great big red 30 minutes popped up, which was in essence saying, if you are wrong, you are going to get an extra 30 minutes added onto your time. And that freaked us all out because while we're at an hour and a half, we want to be done. We could have gotten done sooner. That would have been great. But an hour and a half and to have 30 minutes tacked on, that would have put us at 2 hours, would have dropped us down the leaderboard. We were at number 6 out of 27. We would have fallen so far down that leaderboard if we had been wrong. So we were so nervous. But let me tell you, the screaming and hollering and jumping that went on when we put our suspect in and the weapon in and we were right and it said case closed. Woo, that was the best feeling in the world because we were ready to be done. Why? We walked almost 6,000 steps, so it is very physically intensive. If you're not physically fit, it can get to you. And even if you are physically fit and you get up the morning before and exercise, be prepared to put in another 6,000 or more steps. I mean, we finished in an hour and a half. If we'd been out there 2 hours or to 3 hours, it would have been well over 10,000 steps. And that is a lot for some people. One of the women in our group had run or ran or walked 6 miles this morning. And so she was feeling it at about, before we got to an hour, about 50 minutes into the game, she was hungry and tired. And then people started getting hungry like about an hour or so into the game. So you want to make sure that you are energized and that you're not hungry. Protein it up so you're not having to deal with that because it affects your concentration, which you absolutely need for this game. It is very, very reading intensive. I had thought that the virtual witnesses meant that you would click on the witness and then you would get a video recording of the person talking to you, telling you information. No, ma'am. No, sir. It does not work like that. When you click on your witness, when you get into the vicinity where they are, unless you want to take a penalty, which I wouldn't advise, because it'll add more time to the clock for you and puts you down the leaderboard. Your witness is going to be a statement that is written out for you or someone in your group to read. And I did get tired of reading because out of the 5 of us, only 2 had our phones. So we did share my phone around, and I'm going to get back to why there were only 2 phones out of 5 in a minute. But the statements are all in writing. You have to read and comprehend, process, and get clues from those. The riddles are short, but you have to read those too, and they are timed. Some are minutes, some are longer, 2-3 minutes, depending on the riddle. If you don't have it answered within the time that they set for you to have that riddle answered into, guess what? You get a time penalty. They add time on it. Some could be 2 minutes, could be 4 minutes, it could be whatever they set. So you want to be thinking and throwing ideas into the marketplace of ideas quickly, not overthinking it, not going back and rereading it. You don't have time for that. You need to be paying attention, concentrating. So that's where the game, even though it's pretty basic, it is complex because there are a lot of moving parts all at the same time. You've got, where's the witness? And if you don't know the city, God help you, because you're going to have to figure out where this street is and where this cross section is. And for example, we had one of the witnesses located at an address that didn't exist. It did not exist, okay? And that was fine because I work in the city, I've worked in the city, I know the city, I live in the city, and I knew they named the bank, it was First National Bank in the clue, and I knew where the bank was. And so we went directly to it, but the number they had for it was not there. I think they have reconstructed because there's a lot of construction going on in Richmond. And so if you were looking for that number for any period of time, extended period of time, your clock would have been ticking and you would have been in trouble. So going back to why there were only 2 phones out of 5, I had suggested to the group the day before that they download the app because it is suggested that you do that over Wi-Fi at home because of how much time it takes. And a couple of people tried to download the app at the location where the game started, and it just did not work. So they were not able to use their phones at all. And so one of them came to regret that. She said, I could see how having my phone would have been helpful, because if you're a person like me, I need to hear it, but I need to see it too to process it well enough. Some people can just hear it, but we did fine. We did fine, but it's better if everybody has their phone to vote and to read and to help the group along, because I did get tired of reading and we did share the reading, but if you don't like reading, this game is not for you, because that is what you're going to be doing for either 53 minutes, which is what one team finished in today. Believe it or not, guys, I kid you not, number 1, A team finished in 53 minutes. Who are these people? How do you finish this game in 53 minutes when you got to walk all across town and read these, comprehensive statements and solve these riddles and all these things? I'm just floored by that. 53 minutes. We finished at an hour and 31 minutes, 6 out of 27. We're very proud of that. We're in the top 10. Would we like to have been number 1? Absolutely. But in order to have done that, we would have needed to finish at 52 minutes. And that just not going to happen with the time that we put into process. And we didn't go back and reread because we have a stenographer in our group. So she was taking copious notes and she was able to go back to the notes and stuff. And, we were just, you have to pay attention. You can't get distracted by crossing the streets. COVID is an issue. So when you get to certain location to do the witness interview, you will bump into a cluster of people. fortunately, the way the app is set up, as long as you get close enough to the vicinity where the statement holder is, you don't have to be in an exact, precise uh, spot to have it populate, the statement populate and move forward with the game, which was really nice. So we were able to social distance because that was an important thing for us to consider, because like I said, there are 27 teams out there and you've got an average of 6 people in each team. City of Richmond downtown was looking very clued up today. And we had a lady who stopped us and was like, what is going on? You know, all these people, and people were dressed up in different costumes and stuff. So much fun. Would definitely do it again. Just make sure you wear super comfortable shoes. Be prepared to walk. The weather was kind to us today. It was 52, a little warmer in the sun. So we had that going for us. Make sure your team members work well together, because we had that going for us too. Just being able to focus on the game and not get distracted with anything outside of what the mission was, which to solve the murder as quickly as we could and get on with our day. So grateful that it didn't take us the 3 hours that I had thought it might take us based on what we were told. I would say don't go onto the CluedUpp website and waste your time with the riddles there, except to practice and to get a general idea of what the riddles will be like, because none of those riddles will be on the actual app on game day. I wrote all 27 of them down thinking that I was going to have an advantage for my team and we would be able to finish faster. No, ma'am, no, sir, it does not work like that at all, which I'm thankful for, because it really puts your brain to the test to get out there in the field and have to stand and think on your feet quickly without having the answers. I mean, it would have taken some of the fun out of it if the answers had been provided in advance through the CluedUpp website, which obviously, you know, anybody worth their salt wouldn't do that. But I highly recommend this game. Get your group of people, play it. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments below, and I will do everything I can to answer without giving away any of the questions or answers, because if I do that, CluedUpp has a reporting system and they will disqualify my team. And nobody wants that, because you've invested the money, the time, and the energy into playing the game. So nobody wants to be disqualified after, you know, putting all that into it. I'm sure there are other things that I wish I could remember to say, but I think I've hit the highlight of the most important things. But like I said, if you have any questions, just ask in the comment below and I will do my best to answer. So definitely give this game a try.